Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is a new
everybody.
podcast.
It might have been like demon possessed. It was a fairly large, mutated-looking chicken.
We were born in the north, but we grew up in the south.
We learned all of our words from Pennsylvania.
And people are like, that's a toboggan. That little toboggan
Not
there.
a toboggan. A toboggan is a sled. Okay.
0.3 inches, baby.
Dude, I can't take it.
You wanted to talk about something?
Yeah, but let's start off, I guess. Well, we should probably talk a little bit about what it is that we're doing new with the podcast, and then we go into at least explaining our format a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
We've mentioned this on a few podcasts, but this is the second video podcast for season 6. Episode,
Is that what we're at? Season 6?
yeah, episode 102.
Did you actually know this will be a week prior to us releasing our season 6 episode?
Yeah.
Actually, a day after, because episode 100.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 100 comes out on Tuesday. On Monday, Rhett and Link are actually premiering season 18 of Good Mythical Morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Rhett and Link, man. I mean, we've been following them for so long. I can't believe we've gone through, ever since we heard about them, they've gone through 17 seasons of Good Mythical Morning. I know they're probably getting close to 2,000 episodes of GMM, right?
I don't know.
I remember a long time ago they did the 1,000 episodes.
They're past 1,000 subscribers,
Yep.
so they're good.
They're good to go. They're past 1,000 subs.
Yeah.
So we have a 3-camera setup, which is cool.
Yep.
This is new, same environment, but 3 cameras. And we did the 100th episode. Did you think that we made it special enough for the viewers?
It definitely was different, yeah.
This
I think it was
wire's
pretty good.
sticking up. Do you see this? This wire's just sticking up places.
Um,
That's fine right there.
Yeah, it was good. We were outdoors. We had a lot more story-driven podcast than anything else.
Oh, keep talking.
And Wyatt came on, and we had some guests. Audio. Well, what do you say that is? Audio-wise? Because there was no video part of it?
Yeah, we did a phone call with Wyatt, so we just held our phone up to the mic. If you guys listen to the podcast on Spotify,
New intro. We can talk about that.
Oh
too.
yeah. Well, but first, if you listen to the Spotify audio only of the podcast, then I would recommend, you don't have to stop doing that, but for at least episode 100,
Yeah.
you should go back and look at that episode on YouTube and watch it, because we were in a specific location. We showed B-roll of what we're talking about, some in the video, and it's only an hour long. I mean, people watch hour-long podcasts all the time, so I would recommend listening to it's fine, but you have a better experience if you watch that one, so I'd recommend that. But pretty much, yeah, we have the new intro. We have the new season.
New intro for the Midnight Special and for the video form podcast.
You know, actually, how that happened is you never brought it up to my attention, really, that you didn't like the you burping. Or you
I
sneezed.
burped and it came out my nose. It was bad. Like, you know when you have carbonation, it just comes out your nose?
Yeah. But you sneeze. Well, I'm sorry, you did sneeze, but you never brought it up to my attention in regards to the intro. And I never really thought about it.
You mean for a new intro?
Yeah,
Okay.
you didn't.
Well, I
Wyatt did.
okay.
Wyatt started the conversation, and he said the music we've had for almost the past 100 episodes. I know we started with something a little different,
Yeah.
but for a while now, with the intro and the music and everything, he said it sounds a little bit like a horror film, or a horror film's genre. horror style genre, and
which is kind of our content, though. We have a lot of thrilling.
Yeah, we've done a good bit, and even the branding is a bit thrilling. I wanted it to feel kind of new agey. I wanted it to feel like kind of spacey and, majestic and inspirational.
Yeah.
But at least for a podcast, I think that we're settling into the world of podcasts, because we started this thing not even wanting to call it a podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely a podcast now.
It's labeled a podcast now. At one point, we just pulled the trigger on it, but
that was you. We can talk about that. That was your opinion. You didn't want it to be a podcast. Why?
At first,
I always was calling it a podcast.
There was people I knew and so many people in the world that's just like, we're doing a podcast. And I knew when we started it wasn't going to be long form, like it wasn't going to be an hour long, or more.
Well, that was because I was driving an hour and a half to get to where you live.
Yeah.
And we were recording 4 episodes in one day.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
We were recording 4 hours or 2 hours worth of content in one sitting.
Yeah. 4 episodes in one day, because then we would release an episode a week.
Each week for a
so
month.
That we could have a month worth of
Because it was like
episodes.
An hour and a half drive for you to get down to where we were recording.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do that too long, I guess.
It seems so long ago. That was the first episode was released on like February 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I think like February 1st, 2019.
Yeah. Gosh, we've been doing it for over a year and a half.
Over a year and a half. What do you think you've learned during that time? Because I know what I've learned. I'm definitely more comfortable in front of a camera.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we both still have we still have to work on being comfortable and forming our words in a better way and presenting our ideas and
like
telling
now.
stories in a better way. Yeah. But we're definitely a lot better than we were when we started. That's important. It's taken a lot of episodes in order to get here. I think doing this long version format is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Moving for that.
Something I've realized, and this is in process of doing the podcast. At the beginning, I wanted to be so formal and so getting it right, even though I was nervous.
Yeah.
And that's why I was nervous.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get it right.
Yeah.
I
When you started, you would start conversations with like, well, so we're going to be talking about our most embarrassing stories. You know what I mean?
I just wasn't comfortable in front of a camera. That was the first time I've actually been in front of the camera. There's a channel. Can I bring it up? Your channel,
Mm-hmm.
the Brosif channel that you've done some videos on before, but you still weren't comfortable too. You can definitely tell.
It's still out there. Good luck trying to spell it.
But something I've realized with a podcast, especially, most of the time people listen to a podcast to see your imperfections. They want to see that
you're a human. They want to see you
the
chill.
behind the scenes of your films that you've perfected, and you've created this kind of polished version of this script.
Yeah.
A podcast is not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be us coming together, us chilling, us
having casual
conversation, getting to know us. I mean, I would say we're pretty young, so we're still learning in that regards on top of the podcast too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we're coming together and trying to figure out that we've had to figure out these past couple years.
That sets us up for the fact that we are young and the fact that we're trying to figure this out and become good podcasters while we don't have a huge following.
Some of us are young. Some of us are about
Shut
25.
Up, I'm young.
Half a decade.
I'm super young. Listen to what I'm saying. So a lot of these people, I would say one of the biggest streams of podcasting is in the comedian world. You know what I mean? The comedy world.
I wouldn't say that's the biggest. That's the biggest form you listen to.
Yeah, but at least hear me out. A lot of people that have a main thing, and we do too. We're wanting our main thing to be filmmaking, but just having a main thing and then having this side thing. A lot of people are much older than us that are just have gotten into podcasting. So like in the world of comedy, I'm seeing people that some of them are our age, maybe like 26, 27, and some of them are 30s, almost 40s that are just getting started like right now with podcasting.
How many people do you know that of people we know, not just like people you listen to like Joe Rogan that we actually don't know personally, have a podcast? I know a couple.
Okay, I've only known one group of guys who had a podcast, but they don't do it anymore.
For real? Who was that?
Zach, the Status Effect podcast.
Oh, for real? That they called that a podcast?
It was a podcast. It was a short podcast.
I never listened to it.
You never listened to one
I think
episode?
I listened to
I was
a
on there
clip from
twice.
it. A clip
It's
from
on
it.
YouTube. Look up Status Effect Podcast, and you can probably type in Joe Weisner and
Why are you
watch me.
promoting it now that they
Because
don't do
this,
it?
I did this. I did those interviews before we started this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, going back to what I was saying earlier, why I didn't want to call it a podcast, is because there was those guys doing a podcast. There's a lot of people. I was working in the church world. There's a lot of churches that do podcasts. A lot of people that wanted to do podcasts and get into it and was like all about it. And I'm like, I want to do something that's not like mainstream. You know what I mean? And I wanted to have that casual conversation, but I didn't want to call it a podcast. I was hesitating because I was like, well, I'm just falling in line with everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know of two people that have a podcast. I'm not going to say what their podcast is or what. I think I know one for sure has a podcast. I think the other person has, I don't know if they call it a podcast, but it's similar to a podcast.
Okay.
Someone who actually just started law school started a podcast. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
This one I don't care because I don't think he listens to this podcast. I don't care if he knows, but Joe Fant, he actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not Joe Fant, Andrew
Marshall.
Fant.
Wait, Andrew started a podcast? I got to listen to
excuse
that.
me. I don't know why I went through all the fans.
Joe, Marshall.
No,
Andrew.
I guess he left the military because he was in the military for a while.
Oh, his podcast has got to be awesome, man.
I only listened to one episode.
Do you know if he has a following yet?
I do not know because it's only on Spotify. I don't think it's on YouTube, so
Okay.
you can't
But was it
see the
any good?
analytics. It was good, but the person he was interviewing, I did not know.
Okay. So,
And
that's
so that-
hard to get into.
It's hard to get
unless
into
you're a
for
super
that
interesting
reason.
person.
Yes.
You can be introduced to awesome people through podcasts,
Yeah.
but you can also be a little bit off-put because they're not interesting to listen to.
I've only listened to one episode, and that was the first episode too. So always the pilot, even if you're really comfortable and good at it, it's normally not the best because you're just trying to figure out things.
Yeah.
So it was the pilot episode, and it was good. I guess he left the military, and he's in law school now, and so he started a podcast talking, I guess, with law students or just about law and things like that.
Okay.
That nature.
That's fascinating. He doesn't want to talk about the military?
I've only listened to one episode, so I don't know.
Oh, man. How many does he have? Do you know?
I know for sure like 2 or 3 for sure,
Dang.
but he might have more. I think it's
I
kind
gotta
of
look
like
it
once
up.
a week.
What's it
type thing.
called?
I can't recall off the top of my head. You'd
Well,
have to go.
we should give
It's
him
on
a shout out.
Facebook. Yeah, it's on his Facebook. So
I'm wondering if I can give him a shout out
Mhm.
because we don't have a huge following, but we have 119 subscribers currently. That's 100
Yeah.
people. Have you gone on Google Images and looked up what does 100 people look like?
no,
Dude, you should do it.
I know
Because you're like, that's how many people have followed us
I've always
on YouTube for our podcast?
looked at the Wilds. They would take which is a camp we went to every year, summer camp. At the Wilds, they would take a picture of the whole camp, kind of as a memory type
Mhm.
thing, and you
Yep.
got to take that picture a couple of times.
Yes, I did. But that's like 400 people.
Well, I was about to say that I generalized about 500 people is what I always
Mhm.
thought. And all those people gathered together, it doesn't, if they're spread out in a field, that's a lot. If they're gathered together like they were, it didn't seem
But
like
it's just
a lot.
bunch of little dots for heads.
Yeah.
That was cool. I took one of those pictures. It's interesting. Let's explain real quick. So at the camp I worked at, the Wilds, I talked about a bunch. Every week for camp, they
Mhm.
would do like a whole camp photo. So all the campers and counselors and
Could get a
people
photo.
could buy a $4 photo of the whole camp that week. Everybody who attended, and it was cool, fun to buy and have and hang up on your wall when you were younger. And I worked
don't-
there. They usually, because it's like you have to go up on this big lift thing, so they usually just get a guy who's qualified to run the lift to get up there and do it. Well, one week he was just like, "Hey, you want to put on this hard hat and do it?" And I was like, "Heck yeah! I'm the videographer at the
yeah.
camp. I should do it, and the primary photographer." So I got up there and I did it, but they only
That
let
would
me do
scare
it
the
once.
crap out
They
of
only
me.
let me do it
I do
once.
that type of stuff at work.
But you know what they
now,
did?
Like
They-
lifts, and it's scary to get
It's
up stuff
scary.
like that.
We're both kind of afraid of heights.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid of heights that I see other people close to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm much more afraid of heights that other people are close to.
It depends on the person for me, because if it's like there's a lot of older people that work at where I work, and they go up on like ladders, rickety ladders, and I'm like, he's too old to do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's
you start thinking like, what if they fell? They're going to die. They're too old.
it's a
too high.
requirement. So you're supposed to being able to do that for most positions.
Yeah.
So they do it, and they're able to do it. It's not like they have fallen. I've only heard of one person falling from off a ladder, working at Lowe's, and after that happened, he actually moved to a different department where he wouldn't have to be on a ladder. He wouldn't have to be on a ladder at all.
That would make sense. I mean, it's so dangerous to get up high like that.
Mm.
But what I was saying was when we were, I'll find his podcast in a second. What I was saying was when I did take the picture, everybody always made fun of my hair. Me and you both, we're Wisner brothers. We got pretty
Right
good
now.
genes. We got pretty good genes when it comes in the hair department. If you consider really thick, probably never going to bald hair.
I'll probably bald. My hair's pretty thin. I
Okay,
have
mine's
thin
not.
hair.
Mine is
Yours
so
thick,
thick.
yeah.
It takes so much to get it to lay down like it is right now. That's why I wear hats a lot, especially during the podcast, because it does this
Mhm.
and it just falls over and it's a mess. And I know I'm going to cut it short probably today.
What?
Yeah, it's going to be a little shorter than yours.
Okay.
I'm getting rid of the super long for now just because it's getting on my nerves. I might let it grow out again to where it's at. We'll
You should
just see.
Grow out and get the man bun look like I had season 1.
No, I'm gonna wait. This is my plan. I'm gonna get. Why do I keep getting derailed?
The
So
picture.
I was taking the picture and I was wearing my hard hat, right?
Mhm.
And the guy on the microphone, he tells everybody, "Look up at the guy, say cheese
Mhm.
or whatever," to make it fun.
I
for
was
camp.
there a week that you took a picture.
It might have been that week then.
It might have not been, but yeah.
It might. If I took the picture, so you saw me up on the lift.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been that week because if I was up on the lift, I only did it one time. And they said, maybe I did it twice, I can't remember. But I remember they were like,
You did it
Look at
twice because you
Joe.
called me. I
He's
called
like-
you one time and you said, "Hey, I got up on the lift
oh
today."
yeah, maybe I did it twice. But they were the first time they're like, "Hey everybody, look up at Joe." And everyone was like, and the guy started talking about my hair and he's like, "Everybody tell him to shake that mane he's got." And so I like took off my hat and went like this. And I just let it fall down because I had probably a little bit shorter than this.
Yeah,
But it
because
was
you had to
all
keep your
over.
hair shut.
No, I didn't
Cut.
have to.
Cut it the while. You didn't?
I didn't have to, no. No, they didn't tell me I had to keep my hair short. But I did because everyone else did. I
Mhm.
kind of fell in line. See, I'm a chameleon in certain environments. I'm a little bit more outgoing, but not on everything, dude.
It kind of brings up the topic that we want to talk about, which we'll
But
get to in a
We'll
minute.
get to in a minute, but I want to find this podcast. Did you ever? Do you remember? Was that the week that you were there when they told me to?
I do
shave
not
my
remember
hair
that,
off?
so I do not think it was.
A big moment like that in your brother's life, you wouldn't remember if that was.
No,
the
I
time?
would. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I was there. It was a different week. I mean, you did a lot every week, and I was there 1 week of the summer. How many weeks in the summer were there that they had camp?
10 weeks.
Yeah, I was there like one of them, and there was 9 other weeks. And you didn't get up on that lift any time before that? Yes, you did. Because I remember you calling me and saying, "I got up on the lift today," or I called you and you're like, "Hey, I got up on the lift," or something. You told me.
Gosh, it was a big moment for me. I can't seem to find this podcast, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else. I've forgotten. Oh, we should talk about why we want to. If you don't already know, we're doing one of these podcasts a week now instead
Yeah.
of 2.
Well,
but we're
technically
technically
2.
bringing more content to you because we're doing roughly an hour to 15, an hour 30 minutes of podcasting each week, where before we did 2 30-minute podcasts.
Yeah.
The midnight special on Spotify is going to stay the same. Don't worry about that. Friday nights at 10 p.m. But this video podcast is going to be once a week, moving back to once a week. Remember the first days we did 30 minutes?
It's going to be 2 times a week with the midnight special.
Yeah, it'll be 2 podcasts a week, 1 video podcast a week, the main one here. See, we refer to that one as the midnight special, but it's still a Wise Works podcast. We refer to this as just the Wise Works podcast. You know what I mean?
There's no name for this podcast. But
It is Wise Works Podcast. This is the main podcast. In the future, when we get other people who want to do podcasts under us, where we have money to fund other people doing podcasts, they'll have their own names, but there'll be a tag that says, brought to you by Wise Works Podcast. Because we're creating a branch of our company, man. Podcast world. The indie filmmaker, creative world of podcasting is starting here, and we are the go-to podcast. We are the start of a whole thing. You know what I mean?
I say we should go back and talk about the intro a little bit more, because we kind of skipped over that. We went on a rabbit trail.
Yeah. But yeah, Wyatt brought it up to me.
So Wyatt brought it up to you. What did Wyatt say besides that? Did he give you any pointers or anything like that? Because I know what you originally came out with, and then I critiqued the midnight special one and changed a little bit of it.
Okay, so Wyatt has his own people in the podcast world that he follows.
Yeah.
Wyatt is one of the hosts on the midnight special. He came to me and said, "Hey, I think the video podcast intro is too long." And he said, it's also has a different vibe than what I think we're trying to do for the brand. You know what I mean? And I was like, really? And I wasn't defensive at all, because we had used it so much, and I was like, this is honest feedback from someone besides me and Joshua, who's a part of it. And so I was like, that's actually, I was glad to hear it, because it's honest feedback, and I believe I can make it better, more closer to what would actually work for us, you know? And so he said, maybe if you had like, I don't know, just more lighthearted, more actual in the world of podcast kind of feel, you know what I mean? And so we were like, I instantly thought, okay, clips from the podcast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In funny storytelling moments in the podcast that's going to bring people and say, okay, it's time for the podcast. The intro is important, because the intro is what people hear regularly, and they're like, it's time for my podcast, you know what I mean? And people get excited about the intro when they've heard it for a while, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, yes, a new show I'm about to start. Yeah, of one of my favorite shows, or things I love listening to regularly. And so pretty much what I did was I just was like, I'm going to take portions or funny clips of the podcast and include it into the intro. We weren't going to change our logo. The logo is there. The symbol is there for a purpose. We're not going to change that at all. But maybe we can change the vibe of how we're presenting it.
Yeah.
And so we got what you see.
I didn't change any of the podcast intro, I don't think. But at the midnight special,
Yep.
you had very similar to what you're listening to now.
Which is out now, the new
Yeah, it came out last night.
Yeah.
It was where clips of just things that were very inspirational and things like that. But I changed it around a little bit to add...
Well, more just like silly things, quotes from movies.
Yeah, quotes of movies, yeah.
That are dealing with like, I don't know, lighthearted conversation or talking about like midnight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or good night or something.
The one that I really like is the Robin Williams one. Robin Williams in general was, I'll say that, he was good at just delivering a line and going on that, what we call Joe Rogan rant. In a way, it was probably most of it scripted, or he's just good at taking those lines and feeling so natural with it.
Yeah.
And giving you such inspiration while you do it.
Oh, just look up Robin Williams inspirational speech.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
That's crazy.
There's that famous one that a lot of people have put B-roll to and stuff, but I think it's from a movie. But goodness.
Yeah.
If it doesn't translate to his actual life, everybody who grew up watching these Robin Williams films.
Even, we're a really big fan of the Dead Poet Society film. Where
that whole story.
film is him just basically giving
Awesome speeches.
meaningful and awesome speeches about just making life, just taking life and enjoying life, enjoying
Mhm.
the poetry and the
beauty,
beauty
art,
of it. Yeah.
the things that he said. I believe it's not an exact quote, but there was a premise where he said, like, there's a lot of things to life that's necessary, that's a part of life, but art gives you the reason to stay alive.
Yeah.
Art gives you the meaning to life. It's a reason to stick around because it's the joy, it's the entertainment, it's the beauty, it's the inspiration of continued life. And like things like lawyers, these are noble pursuits. I think that's what he says. These are noble pursuits. But the art behind things is what gives you a reason to stay alive. It's what gives you purpose. And that's a beautiful quote, man. I mean, are you looking up to find it?
I'm trying to figure out the word, because there was a specific word he used in it. It's seize the day.
Seize the day, yeah.
But it's I don't know what origin is it. Probably like Greek or I don't even know. It's an old word. And I thought of it the other day, but
Well, it's okay.
yeah.
Everybody knows Robin Williams. Everybody knows how awesome of an actor and hopefully a person that he was.
Yeah.
Very, very, a very deep, beautiful human, I think. But yeah, people are aware of how much of an awesome actor he was and how beautiful he was on screen and how perfect he delivered lines. But we did include a few Robin Williams quotes in the intro and the outro of the Midnight Special.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about what's going on with Wiseworks
Okay.
and why we're going to talk about this. This is going to become a regular thing, I
Yeah.
think.
Hopefully.
I think so.
Maybe.
Because we talked multiple times, the purpose of the podcast, we tell stories, we do a lot of things, but the main thing is that we are wanting to allow you to follow us along the journey of the company of Wiseworks, you know,
Mhm.
getting it started, seeing how we do things, being a little bit vulnerable and open about projects and ideas and things that worked and didn't work, you know. I think it's important we talk about those things.
Yeah, it is.
So we should just take a minute to give people an update on what we're doing right now.
Yeah, you want to come out with kind of a couple short films
Mm-hmm.
a month.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
would
know if
be
it's going to be
that'd be a
every
noble
week, but a
goal.
couple.
Yeah, I would love to do one every week, but between us not being able to do this full time, and just being busy and having things to edit, I don't think it's feasible to do it every week.
Mhm.
And then I was thinking maybe every 2 weeks we can come up with and we're talking like microfilms, so like under 5 minutes where we can film it all in like a couple hours on like a Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just like film something and edit. But it's probably going to be something like once a month, hopefully. I'm just getting an itch to want to make films.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
haven't made anything since
Dying of the
Dying
Leaves.
of the Leaves.
But we did
film-wise.
film something.
Yeah, we did. We have a short film on the making.
It's
that-
in the editing cooker.
Yeah.
It's being cooked.
So we got to finish that. And then also, I guess we can talk about this. I bought some equipment that's going to help with creating more.
You got a computer.
I bought another computer because my editing computer died, basically. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
completely dead, but
You went with Mac on this one.
I did. Promoting Mac, I guess.
Yeah.
something
Apple
that-
computers.
That I can help more tackle some editing. So it's going to help us
Mhm.
get some stuff because we're still in the process. Eventually, now I don't know about you, but my passion is not for editing as much.
Mhm.
I mean, at least things like the podcast. I have not edited much of film itself
Yeah.
for a while. So
Well, I discovered again. I've always known this, but I felt the feelings again of why I love filmmaking, and it's the whole process. It's why I think I'm into directing. It's because it's
Yeah.
like when we got home the next night, I was like, I loaded all the footage onto the computer on the hard drives, and then the next night it was just supposed to be me and Kenzie just hanging out because I had been gone all weekend, And I just like, after about an hour and a half of just hanging out, watching some shows, I was like, Kenzie, I'm itching to start putting this film together.
Mm.
She was like, well, go do it. And I was like, are you sure? She was like, yeah, go do it. So I started working, man. I felt that feeling. I was like, I want to get into editing. I want to start putting it together. I want to see it come together, you know? I want to start seeing the shots color corrected. I want to start feeling the flow of it. And that's why I love it. I love putting things together. I love the process of creating just a story on paper, and then it turns into like this piece of work, you know?
Yeah.
I love the whole
Film-wise.
process. And I felt that new, because I haven't done it in a while, I felt that drive and that excitement to put it together, you know?
I hear that. Something we need to work on. I don't know. Maybe you should just either one of us direct something and just hand it off to the next person. Something that we're not in.
Yeah.
So we don't have any knowledge of the script. We don't have any knowledge of the film itself, and just hand it off to either one of each other or someone that we can give good critical feedback to, but not that they're going to get upset or anything like that, and just let them take it however they want to take it.
Well, the people we'd probably get in contact with who'd be willing to do that probably are not as good of editors as me or you.
That's what I'm saying.
Right now.
We need to not be in a film. The other person needs to create a film and then hand it off to the other person.
To us?
Yeah.
And we edit it?
Yeah.
Maybe. But I want to be a part of it. I don't want to just be an editor.
But I feel like they could create something that's so different and unique.
So different. But I'm gonna force it into the funnel of what I want when editing it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, this is mine. It's going down the pathway of my own desired outcome.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's what it would be. That's why a director's so heavily involved. I will say we are still in the works, just to be vulnerable, I guess, because I think it's okay to talk about this.
It is, yeah.
I don't think, the thing is, a lot of filmmakers and even us in the past have been like super secretive about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of that's because they want to make sure everything's good before they announce it.
Yeah.
But things are moving along pretty consistently to let you know. We've already talked about, we're coming out with 3 parts of Dying of the Leaves on the new Wiseworks Entertainment YouTube channel,
Yeah.
which has one thing on it, but it's not like growing or anything. We're not consistently uploading. And then we're also coming out with when I finish it, which is so close.
It's been before I even
moved
here.
I filmed this little documentary thing for this mural artist video of this individual that's local named Amy Bruce. I did like a couple interviews, a bunch of B-roll stuff, and I'm putting it together. It's like a 10-minute or 8-minute little documentary video that's going to go on the Wiseworks Create channel that we might view it here in the podcast. I don't know. But but we're coming out with that. So we have a couple things that has to just be wrapped up and come out with. And then we also are editing a little short film we did last weekend, or 2 weekends ago at this point.
Yeah.
And obviously the podcast, and we have new things going on with the podcast. Even just creating the new intro that I did a week ago, that was something that was on my list that I had to get done. And so I literally did all of it in pretty much a day, like an afternoon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we got that done, and it looks good, and everybody likes it. That's a part of the podcast, and other people I've sent it to get their ideas and feedback. Everyone seems to like it. So that's kind of where we are with Wiseworks right now. We're feeling good. You feeling good?
I'm feeling good a little bit. I don't know. Not overwhelmed because I'm not doing much, but going forward, we'll see. I'll give you my feedback
overwhelmed with the
in a
ideas
couple
of
weeks.
like
Yeah.
doing a film every 2 weeks or every month?
Yeah.
That doesn't need to feel overwhelming.
Okay.
You saw how easy it was for us to do that one. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's gotta
let's
take- you
see.
just gotta plan it
let's
out.
See in a couple weeks. What my feeling is then.
We'll do a check back in. Well, we'll be probably doing a check in each week, but
Yeah, but do you want to get to topic?
yeah, let's talk about what we're gonna talk about for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll go from there. This was your idea. You're kind of producing.
Actually,
the
no, it was
topics.
your idea. I kind of just ran with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you brought it up
okay.
to me and said we should do this.
Are you nervous to talk about this?
A little bit, yeah. To be honest, yes.
Why? Well, first of all, can I guess introduce it?
Yeah, you introduce it and then I'll explain.
All right. Well, we're going to be
And-
talking about our tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about the ink we've got, the permanent ink. We're going to be talking about probably showing pictures, I guess. If they're visible, we'll show them to you
Mm-hmm.
in camera here. But we're going to talk about our tattoos, the stories behind them,
You have tattoos?
some meanings. Oh, no. I got
Oh,
a
no.
couple.
He's got a couple. I've got a couple. And
I think they've already seen your ones on your arm.
probably, but the thing is, I've had tattoos for how long now? At least a year.
A year. Well over a year.
A year and a half. Well, let's say this first, why I'm nervous about talking about it.
No, we don't have to go into that.
Okay, let's not then.
Let's just talk about them.
Okay, so I've had tattoos for over a year and a half now,
Mm-hmm.
and some people, I mean, just people don't know I have them. They're more covered.
Yeah.
With the circles that we're around. I mean, some people judge us a
Some
little
people
bit.
some people like our tattoos, some people don't.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But
It's fine,
the
it's
reason why
whatever.
I like tattoos are for a couple different reasons. One, it depends on the tattoo. It can be very inspirational, and it's something that you look at all the time and you're like, okay, I need to stay in this mindset.
Mhm.
Some days you'll have bad days, some days you'll have good days.
So you like reminder tattoos?
I like reminder tattoos, but I'm not just into that. I also like art. I mean, for the same reason why we like films and I love watching and finding a great film.
Mm-hmm.
Tattoos are a form of art.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that you have because it's art that you put on your body.
Yeah. It's a piece of work.
I know it's controversial because it's tattoo in general, but we're not doing it. I'm not doing it
most
from a mindset.
tattoos are not
of-
really that controversial today,
they're not as much
unless you're Jewish.
Jewish or just the older generation. I think most things that we've done, I mean, me and you in general, just growing up with our hair, with our style, with everything like that, we've gotten some flack. At least I've gotten flack. I don't know about you as much, but
Not
to
a
where
lot.
an older generation, they see it and they put a mindset behind it of something like back in the day where people did it for a certain mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely not why I did it. I'm not doing it to make a statement in this way. I'm not doing it for anybody else rather than myself.
Yeah.
But people are going to judge me and say, hey, he's doing this for this reason because that's what they think. It's all of their opinion.
Yeah.
It's just someone judging you for their opinion. So I guess we can just get into it.
Yeah. So start with the ones on your arm.
No, let's start with you because you're the first one to get tattoos.
Okay, fine.
Your very first tattoo.
My very first tattoo. It's not this one, by the way. I'll get to that one.
That wasn't your first tattoo?
No, this was. So,
Oh, so you were going for the covered up look also at first.
at first. Well, I knew I wanted a chest tattoo first.
Mm-hmm.
There was a cover up idea, but I got past that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go into this. I'm not going to talk about this one. It's a weird one to start with because I actually don't want to talk about the meaning behind this one.
Okay. It's a
I only want people that I can talk to directly to talk about this one. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like in person. There's a thing like, it has a very specific style. You know, I like 21 Pilots.
mm-hmm.
Tyler Joseph, the lead singer, he has a lot of tattoos, and he's never talked about the meaning of his tattoos publicly because he said for the same reason. There's also an aspect of tattoos that I believe I should get and that he's gotten. I like his philosophy behind tattoos because you talked about your philosophy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a reminder, but it's also symbolism that helps you. That's sort of like a mystery, kind of like a secret behind your perspective of life during that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
definitely each of my tattoos
and a big thing
have a meaning. I think
Yeah.
every single tattoo I have has a meaning behind it, even if it's not a big meaning.
Yeah.
it's got a meaning behind it.
Yeah. And even in like the 21 Pilots song Kitchen Sink, I think it's Kitchen Sink.
Mm-hmm.
There's an aspect of saying like create something that no one knows the meaning of except for you. You know what I mean? And hold to that, because if and his messaging is kind of like he sings a lot about depression and stuff, and even suicidal tendencies. And the purpose for that is like, if you have something that that no one else knows the meaning of except for you, maybe that's enough reason to give yourself to say, hey, the world doesn't know everything about me yet. You know what I mean? The world doesn't.
Yeah.
The world doesn't have the full story, and so there's reason to stay alive. It's not that I don't have that tendency. I'm not in depression or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there is an aspect of just, I prefer human to human connection, and I also do prefer the world of art and symbolism, and I do prefer to have things that are close to my chest. You know
So
what I mean?
is there any of your tattoos symbolize that, or no? That's just your opinion?
This one.
Oh, okay.
This one has personal meaning to me. I believe I've told you about it.
Yeah.
But it's not super symbolism. I'm gonna get one that no one knows except for me.
Mhm.
But right now, this one is one that I just prefer to tell people what it means
Even
while I'm
like
in
Kenzie?
person. Yeah, I won't even tell Kenzie what that one means. It's no one gets to know except for me.
Mhm. Okay.
That's
I
my
guess
philosophy behind
we can
tattoos.
go
I like
to
it.
one of my tattoos.
But
then.
this was my first one. It was on my chest.
This is not my first one. This was actually my latest tattoo. Well, I had two latest. I got them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of leads into this tattoo, so I'm going to talk about it right now. And I don't know how much you can see, if you can read that. I don't want to show my armpit hair because I'm a very hairy man. I'm Italian.
Get up to the mic.
I'm Italian, so I'm a very hairy man.
Not on your face though.
But if you can read that, it's a quote from a show. It says, "A lion does not concern himself with the opinions of sheep."
Let's read it real quick. Let me see. A lion does not concern itself with the opinion of sheep. Yeah.
And that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
With art, with everything we're doing, I mean, there's things that we've done that we don't talk about on camera, because not that we're hiding it, but some people are just going to think of some way sometimes it might jeopardize. There's personal reasons why we don't want to show it.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I've always thought,
Which isn't great. We're going to have to get past that at some point.
well, it's not a personal thing. I mean, I realize that there's things that I'm going to say that's very controversial. I say the dumbest stuff sometimes. I mean, you can attest to this. But I don't mean it in a wrong way or in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
I either say it for comedy purposes, just to be funny,
Yeah.
to be stupid, or I just genuinely want to show the world what I'm into right now or what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people are going to judge everything you do.
Yeah, because everyone has opinions, and some people have a tendency to be judged more than people who are just going through life and really chill about things and just like loves people unconditionally or whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, you have to definitely look at yourself and realize, why am I saying this? And is it truly for you're just trying to snub the nose of somebody, or is it truly just for yourself and you're trying to
Sometimes people want
better
to
yourself?
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes I think certain people, and here's a reason. It has nothing to do with tattoos, but since you brought this up, here's a reason why I like Joe Rogan. A lot of people I know are going to be like, "Oh, I don't watch Joe Rogan." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because he cusses a lot. He talks about dirty things. He has guests on who are rough people. You know what I mean? He himself is a very adult content comedian.
Not really.
He is, for sure.
Not that much though, but yeah.
But I really like him, and especially his podcast, because his character outside, everybody loves him because he cares so much about other people. He cares so much about helping other people and being other people focused and loving people regardless of where they are politically, religiously. He just loves people, and he knows this is way more bigger than just my opinions about things, you know?
Okay.
And he actually truly is able to think and change his opinion instead of just being like, no, you'll never change my opinion, because I think not changing my opinion is a form of strength when it's not, you know?
You know, we were about to talk about tattoos, and we kind of just went down a rant of why we
this
have
is a long form. This is a long form show now. We can talk about whatever.
Okay. But do you want to talk about another tattoo you have, and not
Yeah.
really? I mean, you could talk about the meaning, but not just that. What we've been talking about, kind of
Gotcha.
not go on a rant as much.
We can do whatever we want, Joshua. Don't censor me. Okay. So my second tattoo is this guy. It's pretty simple. The story why I came up with this is people think it looks like an equal sign. It is not intended to be an equal sign.
Eagles?
An
Like-
equals.
Oh,
Like
okay.
equal between people. Funny enough.
We talked about this on the Midnight Special. We don't need to get
Did
into
we?
it. Yeah.
Okay. But people think it's an equal sign, like that old, you know, common equal sign tattoo that every hipster got for a while, you know what I mean?
I've never heard that.
It just has to do with thing with like equality between people.
Yeah.
Mostly because
It
of,
must
like,
be a feminine thing, because I don't.
it doesn't
Not
matter.
that I'm just not in those
It's
circles.
not intended to be an equal sign. What happened is I was driving and I saw a shadow that was in the shape of this on my hand while in the car because of a
Mhm.
sticker that was on the window. I saw a shadow and I'm like, that's a cool design. I like the simplicity. And then instantly I thought of like, that
A
has
sticker
great meaning
tattoo.
behind it. What?
A sticker tattoo.
Well, and I knew I wanted to get something here, but I didn't know what. But pretty much, I guess the meaning for this is, we've talked about this multiple times.
Mm.
It's kind of like what the national anthem says, one nation under God. You know what I mean? This is kind of a thing where it's like humans are humans. And so it doesn't matter what your race is, your religion, your ideas about the world. It doesn't matter anything, like your gender or whatever. It's people are people. And so we're equal. So these two bars are identical. And this represents each individual person,
Mhm.
two people next to each other. They're equal. The only authority they have is God, and they're equally under the authority of God.
Mhm.
And so God is the only authority, pretty much. And that's kind of why I got that tattoo. So you've probably seen this for the past 100 episodes or something like that. And that's the reason.
What is your opinion? Because I'm just curious. I've never asked you this before. Let's say someone wants to copy that tattoo because they like the meaning so much.
Mm-hmm.
Would you let them?
It's a free country. I would prefer them not to.
Oh, you prefer not to?
It's a free country. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'd say
So
no.
that's this guy, my bars. Okay, so let's talk about your next tattoo. Maybe
this
talk
is-
about two real quick.
I'll talk about my first tattoo. And I wanted to kind of get these together.
Show
but
a picture of it
I
right now.
didn't.
We're showing a
Um,
picture of it right now.
Yes, my camera.
Camera.
That,
On your side.
that
It's right
one's
here.
more art, but it's also, there's a meaning behind it. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Us starting into film, it's more of just remembering back to the old school, like, Coolpix camera we had, and just spending all that time as kids just filming and creating
Yeah.
these projects that are cool.
So it's kind of like, it kind of is a reflection back to our older days.
Mhm.
So that's why you got an old style camera.
Yeah.
And it looks more like a picture taking camera,
Yeah.
a photography camera, as opposed to a video camera, is because we used picture cameras that could record video. Is that kind of like what
That
you're
and
thinking?
it's cooler style art.
You
than-
like the art of it?
Yeah. Than
That's cool.
just like a video camera. But yeah. But I wanted to, the one right here that I have.
Show it
No.
now. You don't want to drop your shirt a little?
No.
Okay. It's on your chest as well.
And I am sensitive.
Okay, fine. Go. Tell about it. We'll show a picture right now.
That was supposed to be kind of integrated with this one, as like I was gonna put it. You know, most cameras they have like Canon or,
You were going to put it in that little label
Yeah.
spot.
but it was just gonna be too small and it wasn't gonna fit.
Yeah.
It would have faded. I mean, tattoos fade over a little bit, and if they're real thin and small tattoos,
They fade and bleed into each other.
It's hard to show. It's not gonna last very long. So I just opted out of doing that, and then decided to get it right here. And it's just Roman numerals. It's for a date. And we've talked about this on the podcast before.
You can go back to episode, what was it?
I don't know what episode.
29.
29. It's just a date of...
Joshua, that was, 29. We talked about that on episode 29.
Yeah. It's
of episode
not very
season
detailed
3.
either.
No, not.
I could have gone into more detail, but that's a kind of sore subject.
Okay, but give a quick explanation of what the date is for.
It was the date of some surgery that I had, and it was very life-changing. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And that's very brief, but...
If you want to get into what Joshua did and what happened, you can go back to episode 29. But that's pretty much...
It's called Joshua Opens Up.
Yeah.
Whatever episode that is.
Yeah. I think it's 29. But that's pretty much just to symbolize the end of that period of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to always just look forward to kind of better yourself.
That's good. Let me talk real quick, and then we'll talk about your forte, and then we'll talk about our matching tattoo. How about that?
I forgot about that one. That was a night.
Okay. But I'll show... I have one on my shoulder. I'm not going to... I'll show a picture of it since Josh was showing pictures of his. But I have one on my shoulder.
You can't see it at all,
Is it
man.
poking out at all?
No, it's not.
I got one on my shoulder. It's a bigger one. One of my bigger ones. It's a dragon.
Yeah.
Show a picture of it right now. And...
Do you think... Because I have a picture of you and Kenzie. Do you
Yeah,
think
let's
Kenzie
Kenzie
that?
won't mind.
She won't mind? Okay.
Yeah. We're going to put one... me and Kenzie got kind of matching, but they're like dragons. Mine's more masculine. Hers is more feminine. And that when we stand next to each other, they're playing with each other. We wanted to get couple tattoos. Now that we're married, we never would get couple tattoos before we were married.
I'm just curious because you guys said you wanted to get a date right here.
I think we moved away from that.
Okay.
It's a little too simple. You know what I mean? So, but we decided to go with the dragons. Kenzie always wanted a dragon. She thought it would be super cool after she got really into Game of Thrones. She was like, I want like a dragon kind of in the Game of Thrones dragon style. You know what I mean? That kind of like is shaped the same way with the back legs and the arms are wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the horns and stuff. So we had a friend, one of her friends that she worked with at one time, who's an artist, design us these two dragons, and she did, and then we got them tattooed on us. And so it's a mix between a couple tattoo. We love the idea of the power of dragons. I've always been fascinated with the creativity and the idea of dragons. I mean, on my high school class ring, I had a dragon on one side.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And so yeah, I've always loved dragons. I love drawing them. Kenzie really liked dragons from Game of Thrones and just kind of what they symbolize with power and whatnot. And
was that your longest tattoo? That took the longest?
Yeah, that took an hour. I actually fell asleep getting this one. It was about 10 minutes in. It was kind of hurting, and then it dulled. It dulled.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And then I literally fell asleep. Comment if you've ever fell asleep during a tattoo.
You've never had to have like not two sessions, but like at least a break.
No, I've never done a break. My tattoos have been simple, even if they're not like super tiny, like the dragon or this one. They're very simple, you know. And so
one on my side, because there's a little bit of detail in it, and there's a decent amount of detail. It did take a while to do it, a couple hours, and not that I left the tattoo place and came back, but I did it all in one session. But I took a break in the middle, definitely.
But yeah, that's my dragon tattoo. That's my most recent one. Talk about your forte.
Well, it's Italian for our roots. It just means strong in Italian.
Is it really? Forte is an Italian word?
Yeah. Did you not know this?
No.
It's Italian for strong.
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up. It's just Italian to kind of throw back to our roots because we're Italians. It also just strong, meaning that whatever you do, I mean, do be strong and kind of do it to your wholehearted.
Yeah.
Just all that cheesy stuff.
It says, a thing at which someone excels.
Yeah. Did you look up strong or forte?
I just looked up forte.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Google Translate strong, see if that's
Yeah.
correct.
It's just going to come up as forte. Or it's going to come up like something forte. But forte is essentially strong.
Gotcha. Okay. What other... Is that all your tattoos except the one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish this. Talk about eccentric lion. Talk about an idea of one you have.
I don't want to talk about that yet.
Talk about it.
Let's wait.
No, we'll do the cool story one last. Talk about that while I look up this.
Well, this is kind of in the works, I guess. It's not something that's happened yet, but
Forte, strong.
yeah.
Nice.
One I want to do, and this is kind of something that I've thought of for several years now.
Oh wait, before you talk about this, I need to tell you. We must point this out. So the one on your arm,
Yeah.
a lion does not concern himself. You said it was from it's a movie quote or a show quote.
Yeah.
It's from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
And it's in Game of
font.
Thrones font. What font is the Forte?
It's just kind of script, but I just looked up Lord of the Rings font.
Yeah.
And
See, that's your geek coming through, man.
yeah, it's kind of like
You
a
got Game of
subliminal
Thrones
messaging.
font and Lord of the Rings font.
Yeah. I just looked up that because I thought that'd be cool,
Mhm.
and it's just old script look, but
Talk about your eccentric lion real quick.
well, I've always had a fascination with, like I said, lions, and how they're the beast above, kind of the king of the jungle. Why
Yeah.
do they consider the king of the jungle over like
Because
tigers
they
and all this
mostly
other
don't
stuff?
live in the jungle, but whatever. They mostly live in the savannah, the Sahara.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't ever think about that, but
Yeah,
Um,
lions predominantly do not live in a jungle. Tigers
but
do.
then I also wanted to we can show a kind of concept art of it. I want to do a realism version of this.
So it actually looks like a lion.
Yeah, it looks like a lion, actual glasses and all that. But getting into it after you see the picture, I want the glasses is kind of just the nerd or the eccentric look of who I am, the eccentric person, and how I don't have to follow trends or be. I mean, I've never followed trends. I mean, look at my hair right now; it's just kind of messed up.
Just sticking straight up, dude.
I never go with trends, or I mean, I would say I'm more trendy.
You did the skinny jean trend.
I
You got
follow
on
some
that trend
trends.
pretty quick.
I follow some trends, but I'll say I've never been one to just follow the path of not being weird in any way. I mean, I literally lost a bet and shaved my head because I thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
I went bald at one point. 'cause
You
I
don't
thought it'd
care
be
as much.
good. So,
Like you're gonna do kind of what you independently believe to be an interesting idea or fun or cool. You're not gonna just like not shave your head because you're afraid of what people are gonna think of you.
yeah, but then
Yeah.
it's also like glasses symbolize knowledge too. A lot of geeks and people like that wear glasses because they've put a lot of thought into it. So you have to be very smart, but yet the leader of things. You have to have knowledge to lead the pack and to be the leader of the pack, regardless if someone else has the title. I mean, this is something that I've always thought. For me and you, we've been just kind of not given the title of leader in things that we've done, but I feel like we always end up the leader because
Well, if someone allows us to say, "Hey, what do you think?" or "I need you to take charge" or something, we're not uncomfortable with that.
well, because of our personality. I know you don't like that word, but our personality is we have a personality to lead. I mean, that's how we were raised, to kind of lead and be leaders. Do you disagree with that?
I think we're
Or
good at
follow
being
'em.
workers as well. We're good at it, but we're not. But pretty much what I said is we're not going to be uncomfortable if we need to lead something, and we do have a tendency to want to create our own vision
Yeah.
and help other people and
Well,
lead
that's where
them.
the eccentric part comes in.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much just an individual who's strong can be a leader. And the eccentric is you have your own ideas, you have your own thoughts, you have your own behaviors and identities.
Yeah.
And you're not going to just
And-
be a follower.
And something
pretty
that
much.
I follow, and I'm not saying this in a way to be boastful or to point myself out in any way. I'm just doing this as my own thing and my own trend, and then this just happens naturally. I've come to realize, not in everything I do, but there's been times where I do something that's just unique or different than everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
and then people follow me.
Yeah.
Just doing like a fashion trend or just something that I find that is cool, or just as something that I'm trying to do to better myself, or to in anything I do,
Yeah.
people just sometimes they follow you. If you're someone who's going to set the path,
Yeah.
you are going to set the path. I mean,
Yeah.
I've told you this in a way and you're like, oh, don't read into it, it's not true. And I'm like, well, this has happened more than once.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm doing it and it's so off the wall that how can they not be seeing what I'm doing and doing that? Why are they trying to do the same thing as me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I say things like don't read into it because I think it's super important not to get a hot
Yeah.
head about things.
And I'm not saying
even
that
if you
in
do
that
something
way.
cool, even if you do something cool or you are successful, like I don't believe, and you've talked about this, I don't think there's like a class of people.
No.
Don't think there's like a status where all of a sudden you deserve respect, or I think every person deserves respect unless they've done something that flies in the face of deserving respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna mistreat or put down a person just because you're above them, like that's a big thing. I don't even know if I would like being around celebrities, because a majority of celebrities, it's like they become famous and they don't even think. It's a very small amount of people who actually think about the people they're around. Their makeup artists, their the person behind a camera, the person that is taking notes, the person that's bringing them coffee, the person that is answering the phone as like a receptionist, you know what I mean, to get to hold of someone else, you know? These kind of people, like certain people who become famous just overlook them. And it's like, we're all humans, we're all people. And I think that if you can get yourself into that mindset, it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't know that person. Don't think you're so important to not take a minute to get to know them, you know? They're just a person like you. They're made of flesh and they're bones, and they have a brain and they have ideas and they have thoughts and feelings. Just get to know them. The most interesting thing about the world, there's a lot of cool things like nature and technology and stuff, but the most interesting thing is other humans. You know, I was talking about meanings to stay alive. Even the fact that you haven't met everybody in the world, that's enough reason to stay alive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that can make you feel like trash, but I think that's because people are self-focused. Just take some time and appreciate other people. And so when you talk about yourself, and if I talk about myself, I'm going to feel uncomfortable always, because I don't like tapping into that mentality of thinking I'm important. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't believe in this idea of like, you have to love yourself before anyone can love you. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's
But
not true at all.
yes, I agree with everything you're saying. But when
You can
clearly,
love yourself, but it doesn't mean you have to like glorify yourself. Everyone's always about like self-love. Yeah, having enough self-love so you don't do something that's going to like end your life or whatever. Yeah, that's smart, but just like walking around with so much self-love, it just turns into pride real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a healthy idea to have about yourself when there's a world full of people who need your attention as much as you do. You know what I mean?
So do you want to get into the last one?
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so before I moved here, before you even thought about moving here,
Yeah.
when Kenzie...
No, it wasn't me thinking about moving here. This happened on the night that we had a going away party for you guys.
Yeah, it was a mix between a going away party and a party to celebrate Mackenzie, my wife, getting accepted into a doctoral program at Regent University here in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
And we were celebrating it with friends and family. And Tim, who's been on the podcast, and his girlfriend Esther, along with a couple other people like his brother Isaac and Josh and them, they all came to the party, right? And we were just having a good old time, and our families were there and whatnot.
That was a night.
Me and Joshua and Tim and Isaac and my wife and her brother Levi decided we were going to parlay this little party of going away. We're going to parlay it into a tattoo session.
Which I remember this. I mean, we had this idea before that night of getting this, but this was more of you pushing it. I know it was you pushing it because I don't think it would have happened any other way.
I'm glad I did. I have no regrets. And anyone out there who's upset that Tim or Isaac or anyone might have tattoos because of me, they're better for it.
It's all you to blame. Blame you. You're the
You
evil
can blame
person.
me. You can blame me. But I think I did everyone a favor.
That was the worst.
No, it wasn't.
The place we went to, yeah.
Well, you know, like Tim, he was on the fence about it. He's like, I don't know if I want tattoos. I've always wanted tattoos, but I don't know if I should. He's on the fence and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, a tattoo is just a tattoo. It doesn't change your life.
Last
Like,
fall.
don't put so much stock into this idea
Yeah.
that like your life's gonna be over or completely changed when you get a tattoo.
Last fall, Tim told me he had like an appointment for consultation to get another tattoo last fall.
And you didn't show up.
I don't know if he never showed up, but he
didn't
doesn't
get
have
it.
any more tattoos.
He never went.
He's so undecisive.
It took some explanation. It took me pushing him a little bit to get that tattoo, and I will do it again in a heartbeat. I don't care what other people think. Isaac, he loves tattoos, even though he hasn't gotten any more. He has plans on it. He's glad he got the one he did. But Isaac's cool. Tim, he's a little bit more like, I don't know, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of want to, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Tattoos are not a big deal. Anyone who thinks that, work on your perspective with that. Tattoos is not a big deal, not at all. But we went and got tattoos. Took some talking into it. I didn't get Seth to go with us. He would not be told to go, so he didn't go with us. But we went and got tattoos. I got mine on my leg, right here. You got yours on your leg.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I wanted to put it somewhere else. Tattoo guy wouldn't do it, so I just went with where I went.
you got it on your leg, but on the upper thigh.
Upper thigh.
Upper thigh. Tim got his right here, and I think Isaac also got his right there. Isaac and Tim both kind of got theirs in the same spot.
Yep.
They're all matching tattoos. They are Spartan helmets. Show you some pictures right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a couple of Tim and Isaac, so I'll show all four of them. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just show all four of them.
Okay.
That was a fun night. Mackenzie, she got a couple more tattoos around her wrist. Her
And
brother
Levi
got
a tattoo.
got a tattoo of I think it was a falcon or a hawk. He has this scar on his stomach. And so he decided from like a surgery he had when he was really young. So he thought, I'm going to get like a falcon perched on a branch, but the branch is going to be my scar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it looks like the bird is like perching up on a branch, but there's no branch there. It's just some white scar tissue.
Yep.
And so we all got matching little Spartan helmet tattoos. And we got it in a very specific, messy looking style. That's what this style was that we showed him. The artist, this was like a biker. And a rougher, not as very artistic biker place.
Mhm.
Because we got it at like, what, 1 a.m.?
Yeah. I think I finished my tattoo. I think the place closed at 1,
Okay.
and I got mine at like 12:30 is when I started.
But it was late. And there was a whole series of us that just showed up and wanted these tattoos.
Yeah.
And so it only cost $20 a piece.
No, 40.
No,
Four.
$20 a piece.
We've talked about this. Who remembers stuff better?
You.
$40 a piece. $40 a piece, man.
Okay, well, I remember 20.
$40.
But we all got these tattoos. They all look like the same style, but none of them look like identical. You know what I mean?
Not really.
And it's because this guy was freehanding it. He wouldn't do the whole. Actually, he did do the whole blue wing thing.
But he was freehanding it, and
He didn't do a
also-
great job.
Yeah.
He wasn't that great of an artist. Wouldn't go back there.
No.
Would do matching tattoos again.
I know a couple people that got tattoos there, and they were like, "Oh, it was a good place," and I'm like, "You're crazy, crack dad.
No.
Crazy,
Wouldn't
crack
go back
dads."
there. Got an awesome new place here in Virginia Beach. That's where I got my dragon.
Mhm.
Dude's name is Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah, it's a cool place. He's really good at it. He's
Yeah.
chill.
I think we should end this podcast.
What
maybe?
time are we at?
An hour and 10 minutes.
An hour and 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Does it feel like an hour or longer?
Yeah, I'm reacting to the fact that you're wanting to end it at an hour 10, man.
I thought we were going for like an hour.
We're going for like an hour 30.
Okay, let's go for another 2 hours then.
Okay, there is one thing I want. Another 2 hours. We'll just do it for a little long. There was one thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Mhm.
So did you know how they filmed The Mandalorian?
Not really.
Have you heard of the video effects like VidWall technology?
No.
You got to look this up. Look up behind the scenes video effects of The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
So there's this new technology out there that this one company, it's created by people who do like video game design,
Yep.
and they build the world. They build the world that you're filming in. On The Mandalorian, they've done this on a couple films, but only for scenes. 90% of The Mandalorian was filmed this way.
Okay.
It's like if you heard of rear projection. It's pretty much like, in the old films, they had a projector when they're in a car
Yeah.
of a road going past them, and they're just in a car that's just like still.
Is that what they're doing?
They're doing that, but it's with modern crazy technology. So, it's not just that. It's a vid wall that is 360 degrees.
They're about to come out with season 2. You guys have
they're doing
Disney
the same thing.
Plus, or you have access to it.
Yeah.
To it at least. We need to get together and watch this together.
Let
because
me finish this though. Okay. 90% of this film was done this way. Only small parts of it used green screen, okay? They pretty much almost they got away from green screen a lot with this. Most films, like all the Marvel ones, are all they're all like green screen. But this was like the first big project that they did, and that's why we think it was so beautiful. Josh was kicking me under the table, you perv. Stop.
I'm not a perv.
All right, chill. But we they had a 360-degree screen, and the ceiling was a screen. It's all digital. So literally someone's there like with remotes and stuff and is controlling. If they don't like something in the background, they can just pick it up or remove it or extend it or do whatever, because it's all a digital world.
Yeah.
It's made like a video game. But it's like virtual reality, except it's on these screens in this room. And then they just have lighting, so you can control the lighting. There's no spillage. So like when you're shooting with green screens, a lot of time you'll get spillage of green color into whatever's not supposed to have green in it,
Mhm.
Nothing like that, because everything's in camera. So much easier to edit. It's a lot of time to design and pre-work, but there's also perspective. So when you're moving a camera, the background reveals at a different time, and you have different perspectives and whatnot. All of that's controlled inside the camera. So like you have this thing on the camera, and it knows kind of what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And so the background will change according to what's being seen. Like it'll move it to get the right perspective that's actual based in what it would really look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it's just a still image and you're walking around something, it'll kind of look convincing, but it doesn't react the way it does in real life, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't reveal what's behind you and have depth and everything. Like if you have a mountain, it doesn't matter where you go, the mountain's gonna look the same. Unless you have perspective, like you have a mountain here and a mountain back there. When you move, those mountains are gonna also cross and have different perspective, not just with you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it gets into the details with that, into this virtual world that whatever the camera sees, it's literally like you're in a whole nother world. 90% of everything filmed in The Mandalorian Season 1 was done inside of a virtual reality room like that.
Man.
And it's so awesome because once you get your shot's it. You just put it together. You
Yeah.
just color correct it. You don't have to do all these extra stuff. You know what I mean? Except like maybe lasers and whatnot. That's video effects. But you don't have to, all your backgrounds, your environment, it's like you were in that environment.
Yeah. I know even though Mandalorian is like space and very modern in that way, it has that 80s feel of the original Star Wars that everybody loves because it's that it was filmed in the 80s or 70s or whenever it was filmed, 90s, that people love because it has that feel even though it's modern.
Yeah.
Which is the same way that everybody likes the Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai that's come out, it has a very 80s feel even though it's modern in modern day.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's just
Nostalgia.
yes, that word, nostalgia.
But isn't that awesome though? Everybody, go look up behind the scenes video effects of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be blown away by this technology. Hardly anybody's going to use it or has used it, but it's going to change the future of filmmaking forever. I'm like, when we become big, we're for sure going to have like 3 studios that are giant that has this technology just on hand all the time. You know what I mean?
I think,
For sure.
yeah.
It's
we'll
so
see.
cool.
We'll see.
It's so cool, dude. Using modern technology, you don't have to worry about the weather because you're creating the weather. You don't have to worry about the lighting because you're lighting according to what the background is. So if like you have the background set, right? Then you light to get it as close to what the environment looks like. And then it still doesn't look perfect. You can do minor adjustments back on the background to make the minor adjustments. So it's like this back and forth to get it perfect. And it's so cool. You don't have that with green screen.
I thought of, because I was watching it the other day. Remember the film Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Well, in that movie, because this is a favorite of mine. I know you watched it once with me because I was like, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. But in the movie, and they don't portray this as much in the film as they do in the book, because I read the book too.
Yeah.
That's how much I was into it. Read the book after the movie.
That's crazy.
These people, if you don't know, just to kind of summarize, someone created this virtual reality world way into the future to where Earth is not, it's had like nuclear war and all this drought and famine and all this stuff in the world where everybody hates the world at this point. So someone created this virtual reality world that even though it's a world and a game, everybody basically lives in. People work in the game for real world, like to have rent for their apartment in the real world because they are in the game. And everything evolves around this game basically. But everybody works in this world, in this game, for the real world. Even like for their apartment, like for rent and stuff like that. They work in this world because it's so, nobody even lives outside the world anymore. I was thinking, is that where they film too? I mean, it's in the world and they create, everything's virtual reality, but did they create films in that world too? Or is that their entertainment? It's just living in the world.
I think living in the world is their entertainment.
No, because they're still living in that world. They still have to walk around. It's virtual reality.
I know,
they
but
still have to think and do.
there's so much happening. You won't have time or the desire to sit down and watch something.
So if something like that ever happens in reality, you think entertainment will die?
Yeah, because you're literally going on an adventure and you can do whatever you want inside this virtual world. That is enough entertainment. That's plenty. Because there's going to be new things constantly inside that world. You can never catch up to what's being entertaining for you.
That's such
in
a
that
good
world.
film. I mean,
Which
just the concept to
but
think about.
Let's go deeper than that. Are we just becoming complacent? Because the current
Yeah.
world is already that way. There's
Yeah.
already enough happening in the current world with nature, with cities, with people, with technology, with anywhere in the whole world, and we're already bored of that. So maybe our minds are so small we have to just like, or maybe because we have to be bound by this idea of I have to stay in a city or I have to stay in a job, and I only get to go, on a cool adventure like once or twice a year, you know what I mean, for vacation.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just limiting ourselves because why do we need a virtual reality world? The current world is too amazing to just bypass that and go to a different realm. You know
Speaking
what I mean?
of, we live at the beach. We live at the beach,
We
right?
live at the beach, yes.
We're like half a mile from the beach. Is that
Mile.
a mile?
So, yeah.
Is that great? Good. I've been there 2 months, man.
Need to go.
Does that mean I'm so much of a workaholic or as a bum or I'm too much into my world that I don't go to the beach?
I think you work and then you're tired and you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And you keep telling yourself you're going to go and you don't.
That happens.
Just
Every time
just
I
go.
see you, I'm like, oh, we're gonna go to the beach, right? And you're like, yeah, and then we never go.
Well, it's not like I don't have to go with you.
Yeah, but I'm saying I always mention it to you, like I'm gonna go, man,
Yeah,
today.
go today.
Yeah.
Let's stop this podcast so you can go right now.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode 102 of the Wise Works podcast. We're going to stop naming episodes probably after this because
No, let's keep people up to date. We're at 102. We have why it's 2 is because we have a Spotify only show called Midnight Special, which we talked about at the beginning of this episode. That's 101. So go watch that because that came out before this episode.
yes.
That came out on Spotify only. Wise Works Podcast on Spotify. And go follow that. Go watch it every night. I mean,
I'm excited when Spotify opens up video podcasts to everybody. Because right now it's
Yeah.
only open for Joe Rogan and a couple other big creators. But when when
It's
Spotify
gonna be hard, though.
when Spotify opens up being able to have the video element, we're
yeah.
gonna drop these on there for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Why would we have an audio only when you can do audio only or video? Give them both at
Yeah.
the same time on Spotify.
We'll see. But we have that
We're not
there.
married to only YouTube.
We're coming out with films at least once a month, but we're having one coming up soon. So subscribe to not only this channel, but Wise Works
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Yes, that channel.
You can go, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can go to the channel's column on the Wise Works podcast channel, and you'll see a couple channels there. One of them's Wise Works Create, one of them's Wise Works
or if you
Entertainment.
just type in Wise Works Entertainment, I'm pretty sure
it
it'll
probably
show
will
it.
come up.
It will.
There's one video on there now that's real short.
And then also we have a third channel called Wise
Wise
Works
Works
Create that you're
Doesn't
gonna
have
do
anything
this,
on.
That's gonna be the muralist video.
Mural artist video, yeah.
So that's gonna come out soon.
Hopefully.
Soon within the next month.
Maybe.
Next month.
Maybe.
It will. Go do that. Go subscribe to those channels. Go watch all the content on there, all the content on here. Rewatch podcasts.
Well, okay, you're getting greedy. People don't have that much time in their day.
People got time, man. People are just eating food, going to work.
At the very least, keep up with us in our current episodes.
Unsubscribe to Netflix. Turn off your
Now you're being real greedy.
and just subscribe to us.
No, don't do that.
Don't go
That
to
would be
Hulu. Don't go to
silly.
Netflix.
No, because we're going
Don't
to talk
go
about
to
Hulu
any-
and Netflix and stuff. We're going to talk about it. Why would we tell them not to do that?
Psh.
Don't push me or everyone else. Chill.
Okay.
You're getting greedy.
I'm
Just
a
watch
little greedy.
at the very least, just watch our current episodes we come out with once a week on Tuesdays. We really, really appreciate you joining us and sticking with us. So yes, we'll see you guys next week for the next video podcast, but you'll hear us sooner if you pay attention to Spotify.
Yeah.
Listen to Midnight Special this Friday. Thanks for joining.